I'm excited to be able to come to you. So just give me just a moment as we are getting all of these moving pieces set up. I'm excited. Give me just a moment as we are getting all of the pieces set up. And I think we are now on all platforms. So excited. Hey. So if you are just joining, again, welcome. Thank you so much. I see you guys on Zoom coming in. Thank y'all so much for joining. Also, we are on YouTube, so I'm excited about that as well, streaming live. And we are also on Clubhouse. So good evening, everybody. As you are coming in, go ahead and make sure that you are dropping your information, where you're calling, where you're from, where you're listening from in the chat room. Make sure that you are dropping where you're listening from in the chat room. We want you to talk back. This conversation, for those of you who may not know me, I am Charrisa T. I am the Visionary of HR Ministries, and iTeach, iCoach LLC. And I started Dear Entrepreneur, Dear Author last year. It's a place where we come together with like-minded individuals. We talk. We're able to just have some good conversation about the journey. We're all on a journey as authors. Maybe you want to write a book, you thought about it, or maybe you have written a book and you may be doing some things with it. Things may be going well, things may not. Or maybe you are an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur and you've been in a game for a while, or maybe you are just starting or thinking about starting. And so these conversations are very vital to the journey. And so welcome again to Dear Author, Dear Entrepreneur. I am your host, Charrisa T, and you are joining the Creatives Lounge. Listen, we have a special guest here on today, and I'm excited for you guys to meet this special lady, this queen, and get to know who she is and what she does. And listen, if you guys have questions, please feel free, drop them in the chat, put them in the chat room. I promise you, we will make sure that you are able to get your questions answered live. This is a conversation, so we would love for you to be a part. Again, we have our great sister, Paula G, on. She's going to tell us more about who she is, what she does, and we're just going to talk to you about the journey. Look at her shirt, y'all. I mean, the shirt says it all. Embrace the journey. Come on, somebody. So without further ado, I am going to go on mute, and I'm going to let this fabulous queen come off and introduce herself and tell us what she does, who she is, just in case you may not know her. And then also, let's get into this conversation. Paula, welcome.
Well, thank you, my sister. Thank you. Mic check, mic check. We working it over here. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. And you know, it's always a pleasure to be on the other side of the mic, because usually I'm the one that's interviewing. As you can see, y'all get to see my journey set, because this is the set that I utilize for my television show. But once again, Charrisa, thank you so much for having me, and greetings to each and every one of you here. I'm so excited to be here. I am Paula G Voice. I am a radio and television personality, a lifestyle model, a voice talent, an author, and mindset mentor. And we'll talk about that in a little while. And I have transformed my life, and I encourage and help others to do the same. As you know, we go through life, we all have challenges. Each and every one of us could write a book. Each and every one of us has some sort of challenge in our lives that we have to navigate and we have to get over. And for myself, I had to transform my life from who I was to who I am today. Not that who I was a bad person at all, but circumstances change in life. 9/11 was the first day of the rest of my life, and it changed the trajectory of my life. I was a military spouse. And for those of you who may have some affiliation with the military, we all know that the casualties of war happen on the battlefield, but not only on the battlefield, within the families, as well. So after 23 years of being a military spouse, I found myself on the threshold of divorce in my mid 40s. And that was the first time that I was civilian and single at the same time. And if you had a military background, you know the impact of those two things at the same time. In my mid 40s, having to transform my life, having to make a mindset change in what my life was like before to what it will look like moving forward. And I remember being asked, who is Paula? And, I was answering the question. I said, well, I was a field grade officer spouse for 23 years. And, as in that role, I, performed the duties of an officer's wife. And, I'm going on and on. They're like, oh, that's nice. Well, who's Paula? And well, I have two children at the time. One was a teenager and one was in middle school. And, I spend, my time with them and their activities and so forth. And the third time they asked the question, I broke down in tears because I couldn't answer the question, who is Paula? And today I'm in the position to be able to answer the question. As I mentioned before, I'm a woman who has transformed my life. I am living my best life in my senior season of life. And I want to tell you all that it is never, ever too late. George Eliot has this phrase, it's never too late to be what you might have been. And I am a living witness. I'm telling y'all, I am a living witness that it is never too late to be what it is that you might have been. In my mid 40s, finding myself single and civilian at the same time, having to make some life changes. I found myself going back to graduate school in my mid 40s, and that was what, 20 years ago, in the college classroom, getting a master's degree with fellow students, peers that could have been my children. At that, I didn't even know what a flash drive was, y'all. Don't laugh at me. I didn't know what a flash drive was. Having to really embrace those things, having to learn technology, as I was learning a little bit tonight too, having to learn and navigate some technology, in my mid years. And some of you are probably in your 40s now. But 40 today is different than 40 was in my generation, but that's a whole nother conversation. But having to navigate and learn some things, a learning curve, going back, getting a master's degree, working in education, having a master's in education, working as a school counselor for then almost 20 years, a totally different shift. I took an early retirement from school counseling, and I started this journey of radio and television. And in the beginning, it just started as a podcast. And I was just telling somebody the other day how it was like a snowball. I started in radio, then the opportunity came for television, and then the opportunity came, and I'm just kind of giving you all the Cliff Notes version because we don't have 3 hours. The opportunity came for voiceover. The opportunity presented itself over the years for modeling. The opportunity presented itself for me to write a book about my journey of who I was to who I am and what that looked like. Those years of those valley years that I called them, and what I needed to do in order to pull myself out of that valley. First of all, prayer, nothing but God, as we say, and that is truly, 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 true. But I had a certain mindset, and we all have a certain mindset. And when you are looking to be an entrepreneur, we can have all of the proper avenues in place and we can have all the proper resources in place. But if that conversation in between your ears is not a healthy conversation, then all of those things won't necessarily come together. I remember working with a photographer one time, and she was having some challenges in her relationship. And she said something that I've never forgotten. She said, you know, we spend our adulthood, sometimes some of us spend our adulthood trying to get over our childhood. And some of those things that happen in our childhood manifest into our adulthood, into adult beliefs, habits, behaviors, things of that nature. So we've got to unlock that negative mindset. We've got to peel back those layers. We have to address some of those wounds that did not heal properly. That's a difficult journey. Addressing some of those things that did not heal properly so that we can move forward, having those things heal properly, be released from some of those things, delivered, whatever word you want to use from some of those things so that we can free our minds, unpack that invisible suitcase that we have of all of that baggage that we have so we can move forward in the fullness of what it is that God has placed in front of us and what it is that we are destined to do, we are desired to do, we are gifted to do, and we are called to do. That in itself is a journey. And for me, it was a very freeing journey. It was one that I feel that had I not gone through that journey, I would not be where I am today. But I find myself as an entrepreneur in this winter season of my life. Like, who knew? You know what I'm saying? You know, who knew? So I get excited when I start talking about this because, you know, I meet so many people at different phases of their life, whether they're my peers, you know, other baby boomers, whether they're the generations behind me who may be going through some challenges, maybe thinking about starting their own businesses. And I really like to pour into them, to encourage them that, you know, each path through life can be a very rough path. You know, a lot of us are familiar with the verse Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you. And we are going, when we go through a valley season of our life, you know, we cry out, well, Lord, you know, you said Jeremiah 29:11, you know, you said you have plans for me to prosper me, and I'm in this valley season of my life. But ladies and gentlemen, in order to get to verse 11, we got to get through verse 1 through 10. And if you go back and you read verse 1 through 10, those people were in adverse situations. They were oppressed, but God told them in the midst, you know, to still thrive, to still have your businesses, to still raise your children, you know, to still live, because verse 11 is coming. But you got to get through verse 1 through 10. So some of you might be at verse 2, you might be at verse 4, you might be at verse 6, but you got to keep going, because in order to get to verse 11, you got to get to verse 7 and verse 8 and verse 9 to verse 10 until you can get to verse. It doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. I remember back, and I'm going to turn it back over to you in a moment, Charrisa, because this is actually your, see, that's the danger of having a television host. That's the day. It's like having a preacher. You cut me off. Come on. But you know, you've got to remember that it is all a journey. It's a peaks and it peaks and valleys. You know, my television show is My Journey with Paula G. And I always open My Journey with Paula G, where we are juggling this journey called life while we're walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. That's that whole Jeremiah verse 1 through 10. We are juggling this journey called life, verses 1 through 10, while we're walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us, that verse 11. And, you know, I encourage those who are seeking their dreams and seeking their goals, that it is a challenge. I remember years and years and years and years ago, when I did just a little bit of modeling in my 20s. And I remember an agent saying, what you do on the runway and what you do in the fashion shows and all of that sort of thing, this is 20% of the journey. The other 80% is the work that goes in to it behind the scenes. It's not just jumping up here and you know, getting on these platforms and just talking and everything is honey and roses. 80 to 85% of the work is behind the scenes. And yes, some of it is tedious and some of it is hard and some of it is difficult. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have setbacks. There may be times where you may just need to pull back altogether and just be still and breathe because you've got things going on. But then you pick up the ball again and you keep going and you keep moving, because as long as, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, as long as you are living, I cannot say this enough, as long as you are living and breathing, you have breath in your body, you can get up in the morning, you still have opportunity to fulfill those things that you desire to fulfill. The intricacies of business, you know, how do you start a business and you know, how do you you know, do all of these different things? We can all learn those things. We can learn those things. But this right here, if that's not in check, all those other things will fall by the wayside and you will find yourself stuck at verse 1, Jeremiah 29, verse 1. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Now, I thought I had this Clubhouse on mute, but it still seems to be echoing for some reason.
Oh, I'm not sure, but listen, this conversation is yummy. Do you hear me? First of all, Jeremiah 29:11 is my life verse. So the fact that you are referencing it is just amazing. Yep, she does sound fine. And let me shout out to our folks on Zoom. We got C. Will, Maddie, Shay, and the Transformer. Thank y'all so much for joining. And the people who are on Clubhouse and also on YouTube, thank y'all so much for joining. But listen, man, you talked about so much in your moment of just sharing about who you are. You talked about my favorite verse 29, Jeremiah 29:11, and you said something so profound. We got to walk out verses 1 through 10 until we get to 11. And I can attest to that, because for for, you know, just being on a journey in the entrepreneurial world, I'm going into my 3rd year of full-time entrepreneurship. It was a smooth transition into entrepreneurship, but it has been a journey. Like, the starting was excited and it was fabulous and oh, it's new. But after you start working that thing for a while and life get the lifing and things start happening, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, hold up, give me a timeout. Did I make the wrong? Wait a minute. So while we are, you know, on this journey, I'm glad that we're talking about this, because it's just so helpful and refreshing to hear you talk about going through life and going through the ups and downs and still running your business, still walking in purpose, still walking yourself through different things while all the chaos is going on, because you know verse 11 is coming. Like, my goodness, who can say that, you know, and when it's a chaotic moment or when it's a chaotic time, you know, we are so prone to giving up. We're so prone to giving in. We're so prone to giving out and like just throwing our hands up, giving the peace sign, deuces. I don't want this anymore. We are so, you know, we're prone. That's our natural response. But it's something about the fight when you wake up every day and knowing that God got you in this purpose, and you have to fight each and every day to make sure that you are walking in the plans and purposes of God, despite what you see, despite what's being said, despite what's going on around you, and just holding on to the word and the promises that he gave you. It's refreshing to hear other people say that, because a lot of times what I'm finding is that a lot of people are not very transparent about their journey and what they're going through and how they are, you know, overcoming. And sometimes they make things look like a bed of roses. And entrepreneurship is not a bed of roses. You're going to have great moments, but you're going to also have some low moments. Listen, I don't want to take all of the segment, but I'm just here to tell you guys, like, entrepreneurship is hard. So if you are thinking about it, I don't want to deter you from it, but I'm just here to say, to let you know there are going to be times when things get rough. You're going to have to go through verses 1 through 10, like she said, before 11 gets there. But know that 11 is coming. So, oh my gosh, Paula G, you talked about leaving your career into embracing media. Tell me about that process. There may be some people who are watching live or listening to the replay who are working their 9 to 5 or in their career, because I was in a career before I went into full-time entrepreneurship. Just to give you the backdrop story about me. I was an educator working in the school system, and I had been working in the school system for 16 years. That's all I knew before I transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship. Though what I do in entrepreneurship, 95% of my business, I still work with scholars or students. However, I don't have anybody over my head. I'm that girl. I don't have anybody saying, you need to teach this, you need to teach that. My business is a little bit different. But I want you to share with us, like, how was the journey leaving your career, going into full-time entrepreneur in radio? Because if I'm not mistaken, media didn't have anything to do with what you were doing in your career. Okay. So walk us through that, please.
So that was another transition. And let me hit the pause button for a moment, because I did put this on mute, but this is all relative to the conversation. So I did put this on mute. I don't know why it's feeding back, but I'm gonna figure it out. But this is a live example, y'all. A live example of the whole learning curve and navigating through technology or whatever it is that you think that you don't know how to use or what have you. It's all part of it. Am I making sense, my sister? It's all part of it. But the key is you just keep moving, you keep going. You don't let it distract you and get all stressed out about, oh, this is not working or whatever it is, and just throw up your hands and give up. So I just want to use that as an example. But to your question, where I am with media had nothing to do with education. This is like a total shift, because remember, I was sharing with you all that, the first 23 years of my adult life, I got married about a year after I got out of college. My husband at the time was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and we were together for 23 years. So during that time, he went from second lieutenant to first lieutenant to captain to major. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. And for any of you that know what that looks like as far as the ranks are concerned, everything surrounding the soldier, and we're talking back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, everything that surrounds that soldier reflects on that soldier, the family, everything. So as an officer's spouse and as an officer of color spouse, there were certain, responsibilities. There were certain expectations. I'm of the generation, you need to be twice as good to be just as good. We'll leave that there. So, I'm 23 years as a military spouse, raising my daughters who are wonderful adult women now, but raising my children, finding myself on the threshold of divorce in the early 2000s with 2 children, one in high school, one in college, trying to figure out how I was going to live, or what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Not necessarily how I was going to live, but what I was going to do with the rest of my life. All I knew was military, y'all. All I knew was the military. So I'm civilian, I'm single, I'm having to navigate those 2 things. Plus, I have got my children. Plus, I'm going back to graduate school because, being a military spouse has its pros and cons. One of the pros is, you get to move around, and, provided you're not in a wartime situation, which we wound up being, the first Gulf War and the second Gulf War. You get to experience different places, you get to live different places and so forth. But the con of that for my generation was the employment. The employment is choppy. So at the end of 20 years, he may have rank, he may have another degree, but you will still have that same degree and your employment skills at that time. I'm talking my generation now. The younger wives now, they have some more opportunities, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But you find yourself in your mid 40s on the threshold of, I've got to do something in order to move forward with the rest of my life. So we've got the career as a military spouse. We go back to graduate school. We earn our master's degree in education with a concentration in school counseling. I was certified K through 12, although all my years were on the high school level. Some people said, "Oh, you crazy for I love high school, y'all. I just love high school." All my years were on the high school level. I think as educators, you have your elementary folks that say, "I will never go above elementary." You've got your middle school folks that, God bless the middle school folks, that I'm not going down, I'm not going up. You got your high school folks that, I'm happy where I am. So, I found myself as an educator on the high school level. And then, after almost 20 years, yet another transition. On the threshold of media. Now, going back to what Charrisa was saying about, working full time and starting this journey, that was me. I was full time. I was the department chair for the school counselors. So I had a lot of responsibility. I'm going in early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was nothing for me to be there 10, 11 o'clock at night. Because during the school day, and during the school day, your focus is on the young people in the building, but you still got paperwork, you still have deadlines, you still have things to do. So when those babies leave the building, you still have these things that you possibly did not get done during the day because, you're putting out fires. It's like triage. You're putting out fires all day long. And by the time that bell rings, yes, you are exhausted, but you still have these deadlines and these things need to get done. So, I was juggling that. I was coming home the nights that I did come home at, maybe a decent time. I get home, I eat, I shower, I sit for a minute, then maybe 9, 10 o'clock, I'm working on my shows and I'm working on media, and that I might go to maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, get up at 6 o'clock and start all over again because I'm navigating both of them at the same time. So for those of you who have a full-time job and you're saying, well, I want to start my business, but I'm working, you can do it, but you've got to be very, very disciplined. So for example, the evenings that I did get home, let's say by 6 or 7 o'clock, let's just say, eat something, get a shower, get ready for the next day. Like I said, 9, 10 o'clock, I'm sitting down, I'm working on planning my shows, I'm working on booking my guests, I'm on master classes of how to present and, how to conduct a show and educating myself because mind you, I have not had any formal training in this. So, there's a learning curve that goes along with that, making contacts, all of those sort of things, laying your head down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes, sleep, you suffer. Yeah, as far as your sleep is concerned. Getting up and starting all over again the next day. So it is a juggle, and especially if you have a family, time management is key. You've got to be able to manage your time and be disciplined with that time. So it was a crazy time because, you're going from one thing to another and, you're tired. It seems like you're tired all the time. And but the joy that you get from doing what it is that you feel passionate about and knowing that one day that you can transition into that full time, but it does take time. I don't advise for anyone to just, I'm just going to leave my job tomorrow and pursue this journey. If you are in a position to do that, God bless you. But most of us are not. And there's certain things that need to be in place, because once you are your own boss, there's no administrative assistant, there's no secretary. Do you still use that term? Secretary. There's no secretary. There's no, somebody else to go make the copies or somebody else to go make the phone calls. It's all you. It's all you. So you've got to be organized with your time. It's not like, I don't feel like getting out of bed today. I don't feel like working today. I'm going to call in sick. You may have clients on your roster. You may have responsibilities, events, meetings, whatever it is, that you have to show up, because your name is on the marquee, if you will. Your name is on the sign. So for me, it was a bit of a transition, because I still had a lot going on during that time personally that I was juggling, that was a bit of a distraction. But I had to learn how to stay focused. I had to learn how to stay on the path of, these are the goals that I've set for myself, which was very helpful for me, setting short-term goals and setting long-term goals. Saying in 2 years, I want to be able to transition to this full-time. What does that look like? What needs to be in place in order for me to be able to transition to this full-time? Are there certain things that need to be paid off? There's certain things that I need to be solid in, and things that are flowing smoothly before I can transition. So for those of you that are on the threshold of thinking about starting your own business, the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. For example, I'll give you an example and I'll turn it back over to you. So let's say, for example, you're working full time and you have a family, and you want to open your own bakery. I want to open my own bakery. I've never owned my own business. I don't have a menu, but this is a dream I have. Write the vision, make it plain. What can I do today in order to reach that goal? Let's say I have small children. It might be 5 years before I'm actually able to open this bakery. What can I do today to prepare me for that? You can start taking some courses, some classes after the little ones go to bed. Yeah, it might be 10 o'clock at night, an online class, but that's what you need to do. You can start taking some courses and some classes on entrepreneurship, how to own your own business, accounting, the legal aspects of owning your own business. You can start your menu. Start baking items for your family. Your family will be your best customers. Start baking some items and so forth for your family. Start, sending baked items out as Christmas gifts or what have you. So you're getting an idea, you're building your customer base. When you have Christmas parties, things of that nature, inviting people over and providing all of these baked goods. You'd be surprised, fast forward 5 years, it's 5 years later, you are ready to open your business. You've got your menu, you've got your clientele because you've been baking for folks for 5 years. You understand the business side. I cannot stress that enough. You have got to understand the business side of whatever it is that you're doing. Fast forward 5 years gets here before you realize it. You are ready to open the doors of your store versus, well, I want to open my store in 5 years, but I don't know what to do and I don't know how to start. And 5 years down the road, now the opportunity presents itself. You got a building down the street that you can open and start your bakery, but you have not made the preparation. If that is what you desire, if God confirms that that is what he has in store for you, and you are praying for this bakery, ladies and gentlemen, prepare for what it is that you are praying for. Prepare for what you're praying for. Write the vision, your short-term goals. In 6 months, I want to be able to accomplish this. In 12 months, I want to be able to accomplish this. In 3 years, I want to be able to accomplish this. Every day, do something, even if it's just 30 minutes. You got little ones running around. Maybe you don't have a chance that particular day to jump on a class. You can look up a recipe, but do something each and every day to keep you in tune and to keep you in touch with that goal that you are striving for. All right, my sister.
Listen, oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh my goodness. She talked about so much, having being organized. First of all, let me go back. You said that you said that you are it. When you are an entrepreneur, you're it, you're everything. You are the people you're the person who's doing the invoices, you're the person who is sending out the emails, you are the person who is doing the marketing, maybe posting on social media. Like, you're it, you are it, it's you, until you are able to hire someone else to come in and help you. And sometimes starting out, you may not be able to do that. And so I know for me, I had to really hone in on my schedule, because there were days where I had an admin day. So Monday is my admin day. So Monday is my day. I'm making sure that I have all my invoices sent out for the week. I know what I'm doing for the week, who I'm going to see, when I'm going to see them. I'm sending out reminders. And you talked about having a plan in place, or what I like to call it, a system. And so I got tired of sending out emails and reminding people of their appointments. So I said, okay, let me go ahead and pay for a service that will do this for me and get that off of my plate. And so sometimes we have to invest in our business. And a lot of times we think, oh, I don't have the money, but I promise you, if you can take small things off of your plate and put things and systems in place to help you, like a scheduling app that will send a text message or a reminder email, that takes the load off of you, and you can use those 30 minutes, however long it takes you, to do something else. So having a system in place, being very organized, planning out. Do you know, one of the biggest things, I have a group on Facebook, and I love to share, just poll my group and kind of get information. And what I'm learning is a lot of business owners don't have business plans. They don't have a business plan. Not only a business plan, they don't have a 5-year business plan that's going to help their business, how they want their company, their business to grow over the next years or next 5 years. These are things that we really need to have in place. We need to have how can you communicate to anybody else where you're going if you don't have that plan? Or how can you even follow a plan or know where you're going if it's not on paper somewhere? So Habakkuk 2:2 is like one of my other verses. Write it and make it plain so that you can run with it, because we sometimes have all of this stuff in our mind, and we can easily forget, or we'll forget what we said. I thought I was going to do this. No, write it on paper. Get it out of here and put it on something that's concrete. That's kind of like having that accountability, so you can flip through and say, oh yeah, I said I was going to do this. I mean, even to the point where I used to write down my appointments until I got to a place where I used to write my appointments down in my calendar. Google Calendar on my cell phone is my friend, though my notifications go off all the time, but I am okay because it keeps me on my game. I tell anybody, if it's not on my calendar, it does not exist. I plan birthday parties, family functions. I have to, because I'm on the go a lot, and I need to make sure that I'm knowing, okay, we got a birthday dinner here, or I'm doing this. I've been planning self-care days for myself. I try to take out time to have for myself. So as an entrepreneur, it's so important that we plan not only for our week or our calendar, but plan time for ourselves, plan time for where we want our business to go. I'm very big on growing the business. I thank God. I just, God has allowed me to be in spaces that talk the language and the lingo that I want to hear. So I'm in rooms and spaces where they're talking about, I won a $1 million grant, or I won $100,000 grant. I'm in spaces like that. And these are the same topics that they're talking about, making sure that you have a plan, make sure that you have an investment plan, know what you want the money. Do you even know how much money you need? If you had Chase or Regions or Bank of America say, hey, I'll give you the money, but what do you need and what do you need it for? Can you actually go and say, oh, this is going to cost me blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about to the T. We have to know what we need. And a lot of times we don't, because we don't write it out. We're just guessing and we're just going and doing business haphazardly. And I think it's time out for that. So I appreciate you just sharing all of these nuggets and helping us stay organized and talking about scheduling content and yes, can you articulate what you need and how much you need? I'm very big. A part of my Facebook community. I'm starting now. Every time I get a new grant or I hear something new, I'm shooting it over to them, and I'm like, listen, y'all need to go and apply. Go and apply. It's a contest, but this is free money that you don't have to pay back. And this is free money that'll pay for your business coaching, that'll pay for somebody. Do y'all know, like, if this was a paid webinar, that this can be written off of on your taxes as a business owner, because this is professional development? Do y'all even know that? Like, you can go to an event and get those things written off because you're in a business meeting. You're getting tools, you're getting resources, you're getting those things. Any subscriptions you pay for, any business coaching, any Facebook ads, any Canva, things that you use to create flyers and things, all of those things can be written off because it's a part of a business expense. But we don't know that because we're not in certain groups and we're not actually, I think one of the things as a solopreneur, you hear that term a lot. We're trying to figure it out as we go, but we really need each other. That's one of the reasons why I created my group or my event called the Round Table, because we need to come together, and I need to know what you know, and you need to know what I know, because you may know something that I don't. You may have a resource that I don't know about, so that I can use to better help me. We need each other as entrepreneurs, as sisters, as brothers. We need each other. Time out for holding information and holding resources because you're thinking the next man is going to go ahead of you, or you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that. No, like, we need to be in a community where we can share, because I want everybody to win. When somebody else get a grant, I'm winning because they won. It's not all about me. I can share the success and the low with other people. I want you guys, I want my community to be able to go further than I can. But I also want to show them that it's possible. So I can't be telling people things that I'm not doing. I have to be that leader as well. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why I'm going there, but God just sent me that route. But, I don't know. But listen, there are so many things that you've dropped in on us about, our journey and embracing our journey on being an entrepreneur. One of the things that fascinates me the most, which I'm in the process of just praying through right now, I have an opportunity coming up, and this opportunity I haven't really shared with too many people, but it's something that I've never really done before. It has nothing to do with education, period. And so I'm really I'm a little nervous, and I think that's a given because it's something that you've never done before. I think, but your testimony and your story is giving me so much hope, because this could be something that God has been grooming me for years on the backside, and I not even know, you know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that you told us that you were an educator and then you went into media and you're doing something totally new. And that lets me know that as I grow, seasons change, things happen, and I don't have to be what I used to be. So, oh my gosh, I hear you, Jesus. So who I am right now is not who God has called me to be forever. If I'm just going to stay come on, Paula G, I got to go up. I should be constantly growing. And so that means God is going to, oh my God, I feel the glory of God on this. This is for somebody. It could be just for me. Listen, I feel like shouting. I'm trying to contain myself. But what God is reminding me, even in this moment, come on. He's saying, listen, you've been an educator. You've been in this role for so long. It has become familiar. And how many times oh my gosh, I feel you, Jesus. How many times do we stay in places, stay in things because this is what we know. And we are so afraid to try something new. But your story and your testimony is giving me life because it's letting me know that, hey, yes, you were an educator. You are an educator. You're educating scholars in a whole different way. You work with homeschool scholars. You're teaching them a whole different way now. But there's so much more than just education that I have for you. Maybe I want you to use you to teach adults, or maybe I want you to use you to do some other things. It's okay. Here we go. To be multifaceted. You don't have to be in one lane. I think I said all that to just say, you don't have to be in one lane. So do not put yourself in a box. Your testimony is telling me, reminding me, don't put myself in a box. Don't put myself in a label that this is all that you can do. Embrace embrace the journey, embrace where he's taking you and what he's doing to you. The word says we go from glory to glory. So once he shapes us to that level that we're currently on, there's another glory, another level that he's taken us to. But we got to be able to move with him. We got to go with God. We got to flow with God, and we got to embrace it and don't run away from it. Oh my gosh, God is just giving me so much revelation. C. Will says, loving the way you both use God and the scriptures to motivate and back up the business planning. God has a plan and we need one too. Let the Spirit be your guiding light. Yes. Come on, Joyce Meyer, do it afraid. And so I challenge each and every last one of you. I don't know where you guys are on your journey or what it is that God is calling you to, but if he's calling you to something that you've never seen before, because here's what I know. Entrepreneurship is not in my family. Nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. Everybody had a 9-to-5, right? No one in my family, immediate family, is a minister or, have a role, that title. I do. So I do know that God is doing something a little bit different with me. And it's okay to be the first in my family to do certain things. It's okay to be able to show other people the way. Leap and the net will, girl, y'all are preaching in these comments. Leap and the net will appear. Come on. We have to take that faith leap. So I don't know where you guys are on your journey, but I do tell you, if God is transforming you, or sometimes we get those nudges and those urges to want to try something new, lean into those moments and allow God to do whatever he's doing, and don't be afraid. That's all I'm going to say. This conversation, listen, I think we may need a part 2, 3, and 4 because this is amazing. And we have been on here for almost an hour. And so I'm just like, I know, right? I know, like almost an hour, like this has been so good. But what I want to kick it back off to you, I want you to tell everybody, some who may be listening live or listening to this replay, like, what do you do in media and what services can you offer? Like, what services do you offer? I don't know, what kind of services do you offer to help business owners or authors or whatever, but talk a little bit more about what you currently do and how you can assist us.
So a couple before I do that, a couple of things I want to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about earlier is about, we we have to get in the mindset of reaching out and sharing information and helping each other. I realized that, I needed help in certain areas. And Charrisa, with you and your business and the consults and so forth that you've done with me, that has been helpful, and we have collaborated and we work together. I also work with Let's Talk Business Consulting. Shout out to Shay Samuels and David Benton. I also work with them because I recognize, and I'm saying myself, but it's also an example that I needed help on this particular journey. And I'm just gonna put it out there. As a baby boomer, all this technology stuff y'all young people be doing. Look at here. Come on now, my nerves are bad. Come on. I need some help. But that is part of it. There are things where you reach your limits, and you need to reach out and collaborate and work with individuals who have skills and things that will help you on your journey, but also you have what can help them. I'm a big advocate for scheduling everything. I believe in putting things on paper. A lot of people use the Google Calendar, and I've just begun to kind of embrace the Google Calendar, but I'm old school. I got to write it down. So you got to do, you have to do what you need to do. And what you mentioned about the taxes, that goes back to the business part and learning the business part of it, and realizing what it is that you can write off. I'll give you an example. I have a family that lives in the UK. So I go to the UK every year. When I go to the UK every year, I do a show from the UK. Guess what gets written off? My plane ticket, anything and everything else, because now it becomes a business. Yeah, I'm going to see my babies, but I'm booking shows. I make those arrangements before I go. So you have to think. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to think. And my good friend Shay Samuel says it all the time, and I know you can relate to it as well, is always thinking the business, always thinking, how you can incorporate and utilize your business. I think I saw Sharon on here. She has her own business as well, Opulent Elegance. All of us need to work together to help each other with our businesses. So to answer your question in regard to media, so I currently have a television show, My Journey with Paula G, on a variety of platforms. And you can go to my website, paulagvoice.com, and click on the radio and television page, and you will see my radio career and my television career as well. On social media, I'm Paula G Voice. I have a Facebook group, My Mindset Journey with Paula G. And then also my page, my TV talk show, My Journey with Paula G. At some point, I'm going to have to condense because it's getting kind of out of hand. But anyway, so I have a television show that airs on a local platform here, as well as a variety of other streaming platforms. And again, we juggle this journey called life while we're walking in the gifts and talents. That's the theme of that show. Prior to that, I had a radio show on Survival Radio Network, the Paula G Show, where we had worldwide conversations. That was the beginning of the whole blog talk when I was on air with that. The voiceover. So in regard to the services, I offer voiceover services. So if you are starting your podcast and you're in need of an intro or an outro, if you have a business and you want to put tutorial type videos on your website, some businesses have maybe tutorial websites or introductory websites, videos that tell a little bit about their business and so forth. I do voiceover for e-learning, intros, outros, commercials, PSAs, you name it. If you need a voiceover, and some of you might say, well, what's a voiceover? If you turn on the television and you are watching a commercial and you see the people acting out something, but you hear the voice, that's a voiceover. When you call the bank and they put you on hold, you've reached such and such and such and such. Please press 1 for this and press 2 for that. That's a voiceover. If you're playing video games and the animated characters are speaking to each other, that is a voiceover. You go into the museum, you put the headphones on and you listen. All of those things are voiceover. So I offer voiceover services. I also have courses, the Mindset Journey course, unlocking that negative mindset, creating a new narrative where we walk through, we got to peel back those layers. What is hindering us in between the ears? Peeling back those layers, figuring that out, addressing those things, creating a new narrative so that we can move forward into what it is that God has called us to do. As well. And some of the other courses that I have are, for entrepreneurs. You are a new entrepreneur, you're a new author, and now you are getting invites to be on podcasts or television shows, and you don't have the slightest idea as to what to say, how to dress, what to do, none of those things. So I offer a course in how to be a great radio and television show guest. How to be a great radio and television show guest, because there is an art to it. And when you get in front of a microphone, when you get in front of a camera, you have to be able to articulate what it is that you do and be able to engage in the conversation with whoever the host is. So how to be a great radio and television show guest. Looking to start a television show, you're looking to start a podcast, I have automated courses that will share that with you as well. So, for those who are interested, my email is paula@paulagvoice.com, but, put in the subject line, Charrisa, and I will know that is you. Put that in the subject line. But yes, those are the services I offer, the voiceover, the automated courses as well. And as I mentioned, I do lifestyle modeling, because evidently baby boomers are in style. So, ads that are relative to the lifestyle of the active older adult, as they call us, this seasoned, active older adult. So I've, done quite a few ads, and, you can see my photos have been in the, Kaiser and Piedmont and AARP, and, a variety of different platforms there as well. So, I'm just embracing this journey, and I want, if I could share with the audience, if I could share a word of encouragement. I think we've kind of said it throughout, is that my goal, my purpose, my prayer is to be an example that whatever it is that you desire to do, be prayerful about it. The thing that I pray for every day is wisdom and discernment. Lord, give me, if this be according to your will, give me the discernment to recognize when you place the door in front of me. Give me the wisdom to know what to do when I walk through that door. And my walk is an authentic walk. I posted something the other day about being in this season of reflection, and I'm in the same position that you're in. Is there opportunities that are now on the table that are scaring the stew out of me? And I'm having to be very prayerful about it, but I hear God saying, you prayed for going to the next level. This is that open door. You're going to have, and I'm preaching to myself, leap and the net will appear. You're going to have to take that leap. But where I'm sitting right now, I'm like, ooh, Lord, that's not a leap. I need to get on a jet plane in order to get from here. You're talking, that's not a leap, Lord. That's like a different time zone. I got to, so yes, it can be very frightening, but what my goal is to live my life in such a manner, and this season of my life, because I don't mind sharing, my age, because I want that to be an encouragement to anyone and everyone that's under the age of 2 embrace whatever journey it is. And I can't say it enough. As long as you are living and breathing, figure it out. Figure it out. When I got on here tonight, I had to ask some questions, didn't I? I had to ask the host some questions. How do I do this? What button do I push? You just figure it out. It's not always going to work out. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be setbacks, all of those things that are going to occur. But one step at a time, write the vision, have a plan, have a short-term goals. Some of you have heard those SMART goals, short-term goals, the long-term goals. Keep the vision in front of you. I write out my goals and I write out my vision and I have it posted in different parts of my home. I have it set as a reminder on my phone to keep it at the forefront, because remember Jeremiah 29, 1-10, we spend a lot of time in those verses and it takes a minute to get to verse 11. So, I leave you with what I leave my audience with all the time, that the greatest conversation you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Listen to his voice, take that leap of faith, and embrace the journey.
Listen, oh my gosh, mic drop. I don't know. I feel like we need to be doing something. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, I am honored to be, yes, mic drop for sure. This conversation has been amazing. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do this. Like, you have blessed my socks off tonight. And I'm just honored, man. I'm honored to be able to do this. And I don't know, maybe we got to talk offline. Ooh, excuse me. But I feel like this needs to keep going. I don't know exactly what that is, but I think we need to talk offline. But to God be the glory for what he has done on this call on tonight, man. Y'all give it up for Paula G. This conversation walk out Jeremiah 29, 1-10 to get to 11. That needs to be some kind of way, a shirt, a tagline, a tweet, or something. Because that is real. That is like real deal Holyfield. We have to walk through those moments to get to that promise, to get to that land of milk and honey, to get to that cushy, that good place, those great places, that place where God has for us. And sometimes we don't want to go through anything, but we need to understand that sometimes we just got to go through it. But it's something on the other side that's going to be so greater, because it's called a process. And we don't want anything that's microwavable. We want that thing to be slow cooked. So allow God to, allow God to let us go through that process so that he can make us into what he's calling us to be. And so, man, Paula G, thank you so much for allowing your schedule to come on this platform and do this call, man. I mean, to God be the glory. You have blessed me. I don't know about, I can tell the comments on Zoom is like they are in the comments, and I could tell that this has been such a blessing. And I'm grateful that you were able to take the time out of your schedule to spend an hour with me and just have this conversation. And if y'all want some more of this, because I really do feel, I don't know, we're going to have to talk, but I feel like this is a series or something. Embracing your journey. I just feel like there's some type of something. Y'all will see, come on, see Will with me. Do it again. I hear it. I feel it. I sense it. And so we're going to have to talk, and we'll probably be back at this thing, because I think this is a conversation that needs to continue. I really, really do. So honored for you to come on. Thank y'all so much. Paula, do you have anything you want to add? Because listen, you have mic drop.
Yes, I do. I thought I figured out how to mute this thing again. I'm just being real with y'all. I'm just being real. It's all part of the journey.
There it is. I hear it now.
After an hour. But I say that I'm being transparent. I'm saying that oh, thank you, God. That whole thing was just an example, y'all, of as you are navigating your journey of whatever it is that you desire to do, whatever it is, there are going to be peaks and valleys. And as you said, that verses 1 through 10, we I can't stress that enough. That is 80%, 90% of it. That's 90% of it. So be encouraged. And yes, I'd love to come back and continue this conversation. I don't know where it's going to take us, but we're going to embrace the journey.
Yes, let's do it. So let's definitely talk offline. And I promise you, it's the small stuff. Yes, be authentic. It's all God wants us to be. Y'all are talking, y'all are dropping some nuggets in this chat room on tonight. Oh my gosh, if you are just joining, listen, I see some people just joining, listen, we are at the end of our conversation, but don't fret, the replay is on. If you're on Clubhouse, you're able to go back and listen to the replay. It is also on my YouTube page. I'll be sending you the link, Paula, so that you can have it. And if anybody else want to go back and listen to it, I implore you, if you have some friends, family members, cousins, sisters, them, co-workers that's talking about writing books or being an author. I always look at people as an author, as a business owner as well, because they have a product that they're selling. So technically you're a business owner. And so if you know anybody who has written a book, thinking about it, said something to you over a conversation, or thinking about starting a business, man, allow them to listen to this, send this link out to them and say, hey, I think this is something you need to plug into. Hey, I think you need to listen to this, because we really want to make sure that people understand it is a process. It is a journey, and we need to take things. Don't try to rush the process. Don't try to make it go faster. Listen, just take the thing day by day. God is doing something in those moments. We don't have to be a rush to get anywhere. Just embrace the journey. Don't rush the process. Yes, embrace the journey. I love you guys so much. Listen, Paula G has left her website. I think it's www.paulagvoice.com. Her email, all of that information will be also in the description of the YouTube video, as well as how you can connect with me. I'm also on Facebook as Charrisa T. If you want to connect with me, if you're an entrepreneur, you want to get in a part of my push community, or a part of, I'm actually thinking about changing the name to Creatives. I got that name from Genesis 1:26-28. God called us to create and dominate. And so I'm thinking about changing the name. Right now it's called Push Nation, but I'm thinking of changing my group name. If you're interested in learning more about, what types of grants out there, business information, you need information about, books, writing, and things like that, you can definitely join my Facebook community, as I also post a lot of things there as well. And so connect with us. Don't be strangers. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can assist, how we can help. Like I said, we're all in this thing together. We all need each other. Iron sharpens iron. And so there's things that you may know that I may not know, and I may need a word of encouragement from you guys. It's vice versa. And so I'm just excited about what God is going to do. I'm embracing this journey that God has me on in this season, and I am definitely just really admiring your story, Paula, because you're just, it's it's all God. I know it's all God, but the fact that you have allowed God to use you in so many creative ways, and you didn't fight the process and you just kind of went with it. It's so refreshing to me in the season that I am in, this time that I'm in, as I too am embracing a lot of she said too cute. I'm embracing a lot of things and I have a lot of questions. And so just listening to you today has brought so much peace. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about what God is getting ready to do. So, hey, yes, y'all get y'all pencils and paper ready because we got to have this conversation. I don't know when, but we're coming back with a part 2, 3, 4, and 5, probably. Just to talk about this journey, where we are, what God is doing, and just whatever he wants to. Listen, I give him free range. I don't have a script. I didn't tell her what I was going to talk about. I didn't even know. Like, I just say, God, whatever we're going to do tonight, you just going to do it. And he showed up like he always does, right? We don't have a script here. This is not scripted. We're just flowing in the anointing. And I love it here. I love it here. But yes, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much again, all of you all for showing up and joining on. Yes, just having a good conversation. Thank y'all so much for joining. Those of you on Clubhouse, those of you who are watching the replay, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching and staying to the end. We pray that this conversation that we've had on tonight, which is just the beginning, but has sparked something in the inside of you to live and be your authentic self and to do what Paula G says, embrace the journey. I am Charrisa T, Visionary of iTeach, iCoach LLC in HR Ministries, and I have just completed our Dear Author, Dear Entrepreneur segment with Paula G Voice. We will be back probably in a few weeks. I don't know. We got to connect our schedule, but part 2 will be coming out real soon. So make sure that you're following us to know more. And God bless you guys so much. Again, thank y'all for joining, and y'all have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.